Yep.
So that can take us then to another matchup that involved two playoff teams from last season, or that will involve two playoff teams from last season, I should say. And that is the Buccaneers going into Detroit to face the Lions. Now, this is such an interesting game to me because I have been a Baker guy. I've been a Buccaneers guy. I know you're singing the Buccaneers' praises now after watching, or I guess maybe just doing it by default after watching the Falcons collapse in Week 1. But man, I think the unique thing about this Buccaneers team is that they have some of the best pass blocking offensive linemen in football. They have arguably one of the best wide receiver cores in football. And then they have a guy in Baker Mayfield who has consistently elevated his game in the past couple of seasons, going from a guy who, had a shoulder injury that he played through in Cleveland, which ended up getting him kicked out of town, even though he was the only quarterback, sorry, Mike, who brought the Browns any success ever. So we're talking about a guy who really has never been given a fair shake, and then went to Carolina, went to Los Angeles, has now found a home in Tampa Bay. And man, if he isn't making the most of it, because that team with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, they've got weapons around him. Tristan Wirfs, I think, is one of the best offensive tackles in football. So they can pass the ball. Now, if they can keep it a close enough game with the Lions and they can keep it a shootout and not allow the Lions to get their run game going, I think this could be a closer game than a lot of people think. And I think this could be one that the Buccaneers are able to sneak out on the road. I'm going to pick the Buccaneers to win in this game against the Lions. I thought that this could be a trap game that the Lions are overlooking. You tell me, what do you think, Christian?
Well, first of all, yes, you are absolutely spot on about Tampa Bay from the start of the year. We could talk about Atlanta in a second, but I do now believe, I agree with you, concur with you, that they're probably going to come out of the NFC South this year because of that offensive line. I mean, Graham Barton looks great. The two tackles, excellent. The receiving game looks better than it ever has been. So if we continue to see that, they're going to continue to make noise. Really like what's going on in Tampa Bay. And then obviously we have to shout out Todd Bowles. He continues to get it done with the talent that he has down there. This week is a tough week. The spread is at 7. So Detroit -7. So I think they're accounting for some serious injuries. So right now we're looking at Antoine Winfield Jr. He is out as of right now. Zion.
They'll need him.
Yeah, they'll need him.
Yeah, the Buccaneers will need him if they want to win.
Zion McCollum is questionable. He had a concussion last week. And then Bryce Hall is out as well. So I think their secondary is really banged up. That spread right there really does. I mean, it's hard to go against that spread. Yeah. So yeah. I think it'll be tough to go against Detroit. I think you'll probably change your mind seeing the spread by Sunday. And with Winfield and those guys being out, it'll be really difficult. But you're right. If they can get into a shootout, I do agree. My knock on Detroit from the start of the year has always been, I don't trust their secondary. DJ Reader could not play on Sunday as well. So if it's a shootout, anything can happen. I like the over because of that on total points. I would love to see a shootout, but I do think Detroit takes care of business. Yeah, for sure.
And it'll probably be relying on the run game. I know Tampa Bay with Vita Vea and Levante David manning the middle has historically been a great team with regard to their run defense. But, man, this running back room in Detroit is no joke. And those offensive linemen can run. That is a great offensive line. So if Detroit can dominate the game from that standpoint and just run the ball down the Buccaneers' throat, it might not matter how much the Buccaneers can throw the ball, but we'll see. I think that this game could be closer than a lot of people think, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a Bears fan.
Do you miss David Montgomery at all in Chicago?
See, they were never any good with David Montgomery. That's the thing. I mean,
Yeah.
like see, my memories of David Montgomery are him having big runs and making big plays and being the best player on the Bears offense when the Bears offense was one of the worst offenses in the NFL.
Sure.
So I love Dave Montgomery as a player. I love what he's doing for the Lions. I think he's in a great fit with the Lions, but I don't know if it was ever going to work out with the Bears, just based on the fact that I think that guy can't be in a run-first offense. He needs to be in an offense with weapons around him where they can spread the field out and where he has more room to maneuver once he's out in the open field, as opposed to having to face a heavy box as he did a lot of the time with the Bears, just based on the fact that there was no threat of the pass. So I don't know. It's a sore subject. I don't know if you're trying to get me in my feels, asking me if I miss David Montgomery, but he's the enemy now, so it doesn't matter if I miss him.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, we'll see. I think that and once again, it's I was talking up Bryce Young, so it'd be unfair if I didn't give Jameson Williams a shout out for how his career appears to be taking off. So a big Roll Tide to Jameson Williams, one half of the combination with Bryce Young that I still will miss at Alabama, and I still think should have won a championship against that Georgia team. If you beat a team in the SEC championship, you should also be given their next. Never mind. Don't worry about that.